now I really gotta think, like, do I dress for other people or do I dress for myself? Hey, this is Naftali.
Hi, this is Greg.
Hey, this is Kojo, and this is Field Media. Okay, so I looked at the dictionary. I'm not too good with vocabulary, so I'll read what I found this morning. I found 3 definitions. I think I like the third one better. It says behavior, manner, or appearance intended to avoid impropriety or indecency.
My definition of modesty has to do with, like, it's like a lifestyle, basically. Like, there's no one true definition of it because everyone else has, like, their own manifestations of it. So it's like someone else's sense of modesty could be different from mine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like a unique manifestation of, you know, God's holiness in you.
I guess you could say, well, for me personally, being modest, well, it'd have to be remembering your relationship with God and allowing it to take hold in your life. So not doing anything that is not of Him or dressing in a way that is not of Him.
Modesty is basically not going over the top, you could say, right? So I guess, like, modesty is, like, you know, knowing your limit and staying in that zone.
See, like, I always think that there's, like, a double standard when it comes to modesty, because they always gears it towards, like men lusting after women because of what they wear, but they make it seem like women don't have the lust issues as well. So men have to practice modesty as well. So, you know, nowadays people post thirst traps and all this stuff. Like, it's not just women that's doing it, it's men as well.
For men, I don't think anybody sags their pants anymore. I'm not sure about that. But we would say dress appropriately. Like, you know, it doesn't mean you should go out and buy stuff that is outside of your range. But groom yourself well.
So being absorbed with, like, brands and obsessed with them and trying to get attention and looking for others' praises rather than remembering that the only person you need to worry about is God. Well, the only one you need to worry about is God.
Okay, so I kind of think there's 2 sides to the coin. So there's my aunt, right? She's, you know, full-figured, and then my mom would say something like, "Oh, you should be careful how you dress because you sit in front of the church," right? And then she would be like, "If the person is gonna fall, they're gonna fall already. It's not my tight skirt that's gonna make them fall," right? So in that, we see that if somebody's tight skirt is gonna make you fall, that means maybe you look more than once, right? So I know there was a preacher, one of our past chairmen in my church. He said that the first look is not a sin, but it's the second look that's the sin. So if you can't avoid the second look, then that means you have to check yourself. But then again, as a Christian woman, you should dress in a certain way that wouldn't make somebody look at you 2 times.
Like, anyone dressing modest is a factor in helping, like, preventing people from falling, you know, into sin. But it shouldn't be, like, the main thing, because the main thing is like, what's going on in your heart. Like, and you know the verse, whatever is in your heart will flow from it. So everything else that's happening on inside of you, it reflects the outside as well.
Well, yes, women should dress modestly, but it's not just women. We should all dress modestly, and someone's salvation shouldn't be dependent on another person's salvation. There's always the saying that salvation is personal. So I feel as though, yes, women should dress modest, but not just women, men as well. We shouldn't be blaming how a woman is dressed for us falling in our faith.
It depends on the person. Like, who are you? Like, what's going on inside of your heart that's making you, you know, lust after people, that's making you want attention from what you're wearing and not from, like, who you are on the inside. Like, we, you know, like, as Christians, like, we're like a team, basically. So if you can put your mindset, you know, share your mindset on it, but you can't force anyone to do something that they don't want to do. So the only job that we have as a Christian is to plant the seed.
Your walk is a relationship with you and God. You feel me? So, in your walk being a relationship with you and God, you shouldn't impose on somebody what God has impressed on you, right? So you should allow God to impress what He has impressed, push what He's pushed on you. Let Him do that to that other person. So in saying that, what I mean is that take that person through the journey God took you through. So the passages that you read. You know, instead of saying, don't wear that tight skirt anymore. You know, there was an instance at church. There was a lady who came to church. Her skirt was really tight, and then a deaconess came and wrapped a cloth around her, and then she was just so embarrassed. So then she just, honestly, I don't think I've ever seen her in that church again. But that really took her off. So that's imposing modesty on her. But if you took her as your friend, pushed it to the side, you're like, hey, you know, I really like your character, something about you. Can we be friends? Blah, blah, blah. And you basically walked her through how you should dress as a person, dress as a woman. I think that would have been better.
Honestly, I feel as though it's all dependent on your relationship with God. If your relationship with God is strong enough, it'll already be set in stone. Like, you'll know what you should or shouldn't do, and you won't need somebody else to tell you that you shouldn't do this. And if they are telling you, you know, like, the way that you're dressed might be a little bit too much, rather than get upset about it, pray on it and think about it, and that could be confirmation from God telling you that you're missing something.
The main verse I'm thinking of in my head comes from, I think, 2 Corinthians, and it's that we are ambassadors for Christ, and whatever that we, you know, how we look is like, it's like the first thing that people see, you know. So, and then with that, we're like we're a representation of Christ and our faith in Him. So that's where I feel like that's what we really have to think of when we think of modesty. Like, we're representatives of Him.